And we're going to start with Ms. Birdsong, and you will have 2 minutes for your opening statement.
Thank you. I'm Miriam Birdsong. I'm a native of Dorchester County, and I have zero political experience. I've never run for not even a class office. That doesn't mean I wasn't appointed, and my family reunion keeps sticking me in as family president, but I did not run. What I do see now is a need to run, a need to be a voice, and I want to be that voice. I've talked throughout the last few months about the things I see that cause me confusion, that cause me to scratch my head and go, what are they talking about? And I found one person after the other that sees things the same way, in a fog. I believe we've got to communicate, not just with each other about why, but how are we going to fix it? Who's going to fix it? Who's responsible for it? I want to be that person that opens the line of communication between government and its people. The person sitting behind this podium is your representative, speaks your words, that says the things that you want heard, that acts on the things that are important to you. It's not about me, it's about we. And I want to bring we to this desk, and I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hearn.
Thank you, Madam Moderator, fellow candidates, guests, good evening. My name is Bill Hearn. I am the incumbent councilman for Dorchester County Council District 6. I have been serving since 2009. Just a little bit about me very quickly. Lived here for 22 years, been married for 31 years, 2 daughters who came through District 2 schools, and I'm paying for the last one in college right now. Please say a prayer for me. But I've been self-employed as an attorney in Somerville for the last 14 years, very sympathetic and concerned about the plight of small business in Dorchester County, looking out for on a daily basis, protect against new regulations, new fees, new taxes that will hamstring local business. Concerned about economic development. Also continue to be concerned about our senior citizens. Have worked and really fought to get the senior centers, up and going with many other fine people. I joined the fight that had been going on for many years and was very proud to be a part of the dedication and then the anniversary, 10-year anniversary of the senior center. I have tried to be fiscally conservative, particularly personally fiscally conservative, leading by example. If you heard me anywhere else, you may have heard this before, but it's still true. I have voted against and refused to take the 33% pay raise the council had a couple of years ago. I will not take reimbursements. I do not allow the county to pay for my trips. I pay my own way. And I try to talk the talk and walk the walk when it comes to being fiscally conservative. Have enjoyed my time on council, look forward to the opportunity to continue serving. Thanks to everybody for coming, and thanks for letting me participate. Have a good evening.
Can you see the timekeeper okay?
No. Thanks.
I just want to make sure. He'll ring the bell, but I just want to make sure you can see him. Okay, the first question is a long one, and this first goes to Ms. Birdsong. For several years, the BCD, COG, and the Dorchester County Planning Commission have been trying to come up with a zoning plan for the upper end of the county. In the first iteration, conservation of waterways, wetlands, and sensitive areas played an important part of the plan. Since then, that plan was scrapped, and the new one is getting close to coming before council. The new plan is devoid of any strong conservation measures other than to make a voluntary conservation zoning an option. How would you see to it that the upper end of the county maintains the rural character, the healthy waterways, and the existing quality of life that the majority of residents there are anxious to protect?
You're right, that is a long
That's
question.
a very long question.
I'm from the middle of the county, so I'm very familiar with life in the upper part of the county. I don't think there's anything we can do to change that negatively at this point. If you've ever met the people in the upper county, they're very strong people, they're very attached to their land, attached to their history. So we have to work with them, one-on-one. I don't know if people are going to be, when you shine enough dollars at people, if they're going to be willing to say, okay, the swamp doesn't mean that much to me. So I think part of us as government, it's our responsibility to make sure that land is safe, the people are safe, that life is healthy for the people living here, we have to implement some areas of control over the wetlands, over the waterways. We can't leave that up to people who could be easily bought. For example, I grew up in the little community of Dorchester, like I said, and there's a beautiful swamp going through, and I took my son fishing there the first time he ever went fishing. We sat out there on the side of a 4-hole swamp and went fishing. Now, where we were fishing, there's a landfill. I would never take my child fishing there now. So we as a government and as a people have to stand up and say, look, our life in Dorchester County is more important to us than a landfill. And I think it's government's role to step in and say what we need to say and make sure that some things are protected and they can't be bought by the dollar bill. Thank you.
Mr. Hearn, do you need me to repeat the question?
Man, I hope not. Thank you. The issue of conservation, when you look at what we refer to as the western end of the county, the middle of the county, historically the residents there have been very much concerned about preserving what is there, and it's what has made this county great. When it comes to regulation, however, we have state regulation, we have federal regulation. I don't foresee the county coming in with additional regulation with regard to areas that would be duplicating regulations that are already in place. However, we are concerned about conserving lands, and as part of the Parks referendum, money has been set aside for conservation. There's already been proposals for purchases. You can purchase conservation easements relatively inexpensively. Those are great ideas. We're also looking at preserving both historical and just downright beautiful areas within the county for parks, for recreation, having access to the Ashley River. And there are things that you have to do. I agree, you have to be conscientious and concerned about this. We need to further policies we're in the process of developing. I'm pleased to report the county is concerned about conservation, about the future, and about having quality of life that's consistent all throughout the county. So, thank you.
Okay, this question is going to go first to Mr. Hearn. Do you support a smoke-free ordinance for Dorchester County? Why or why not?
Well, the question actually would come back to history. I voted against it, and a couple of reasons. Number one, that is a particular issue that I think the free market can speak to best, and the free market did speak loud and clear prior to the passage of the smoking ordinances within the municipalities. Many businesses actually quit allowing smoking in their business. However, when it comes to government regulation, again, I don't believe that it is my place on county council to tell someone what they can and cannot do. When you get into the ordinance, and this is the key, it's not about just simply banning smoking. What it actually said was you're not allowed to smoke in your business. And let's break this down. If you own property and you own a business on that property and your office is physically located in that business on that property, if you chose to smoke, if you had at least one person in the building with you, you would not be allowed to do that. I think that's wrong. I don't agree with smoking. I don't smoke and I don't mind smoking, but I don't think it's county council's place to tell someone in that circumstance that they can't smoke. Thank you.
Ms. Birdsong?
Thank you. I do support the smoking ban ordinance, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm a nurse, been a nurse for a very long time. I just lost my mother-in-law because of years of smoking. I think one of the vital things we do as a government is to protect the citizens. Again, if you were going to open a bar and you hire people, the people you're hiring are putting their lives in danger if they're working in a smoking establishment. I know a lot of smokers, they don't smoke in their own homes, they don't smoke in their own cars, they don't smoke around their children. So why is it acceptable for me to bring my children to a restaurant and people are smoking? I actually went in a restaurant in a different part of the state where there was a lattice petition between the smoking section and the non-smoking section. Wasn't a lot of help. And we all have asthma in my family, so here we are wheezing, because well, we need to move, so we move. There's no answer, there's no easy answer to that. But if we want to control the cost of insurance, if we want to control the health of the population of Dorchester County, we have to look at things that are deliberate causes, are known causes of health hazards. Smoking is a known enemy to good health. And if you choose to smoke, that's your right. And to take it, do it on your own time, in your own space. But I think subjecting other people to your habits it's just not healthy, and it's not wise for us as a government. I do believe that business owners have the right to control what happens in their businesses, but research has shown also that while they may have had a dip in income during the first few weeks the ordinance has been passed, they have actually come to increase their business sales after a couple weeks of the ordinance being in place.
Okay, this question is going to go first to Ms. Birdsong. What is your stance on a new jail?
Oh boy. I know the sheriff knows what he's doing. I would never question Sheriff Knight about what his needs are, because he knows it more intimately than anyone. My only concern about the new jail is why it's where it is and why the cost. Stated that this jail can hold around 200 inmates, but would not be filled to capacity. And when we look at the cost for this new jail, we're looking at a lot of money, and it pretty much broke Dorchester's bank to fund this jail. My question is for council, because we don't know, as people, we don't know the ins and outs because of all the secretiveness that goes on with decision making. Why couldn't there be a small jail built in St. George that would accommodate people who are up there for trial, to cut out the transferring back and forth, and then a small addition added to this jail? In my layman vision, I see that makes sense. Spending less money, getting something in St. George, and adding a little bit on here. To put all our money into building a big jail that we're not even going to fully use seems wasteful to me when there are other things looking at the residents, the taxpayers of Dorchester County, things that are much more vital to us right this minute.
Mr. Hearn?
Thank you. When it comes to jails, there's probably not a bigger, not in my backyard issue than jails. Nobody wants to build a jail. County council did not want to build a jail, but Jack Langston, who was a former county administrator years ago, said, and it's true, if you put off going to the dentist long enough, you're going to have to get a root canal. And it became root canal time. The present jail is dangerous. It has bad sight lines. It's dangerous to people who work there. There's inadequate storage. And most importantly, we waste our deputies' time and our energy and our resources transporting people to St. George when 80+% of the population is down here. The reason the jail was being brought to Somerville is it makes economic sense. The land was at a good value. The infrastructure was in place. We didn't have to put in the necessary electricity, sewer, water was already there. It was cheaper on economy of scale to do this. Again, frankly, the detainees are here. They're in the North Charleston, Somerville area. It just makes sense to actually run this jail where the people are located. If you're concerned about court being in St. George, probably less than 10% of the cases are tried, and even fewer than that actually go to St. George. Most are tried in magistrate's court. So from a physical location, it just made sense. As for this being secretive, every aspect of this was contractual, and unfortunately, contractual negotiations are in executive session. Thank you.
Okay, this question goes to you first, Mr. Hearn. Several livability ordinances have come up over the past year, including a noise ordinance and a gun use ordinance, and other proposals have been floated, including one on street parking in residential areas. How involved should the county be in these types of livability issues?
Well, I guess when you get to livability, you first have to define exactly what livability means. And I think that each person may have a little bit different definition of it. But for me, if you're looking at trying to ban stop, regulate, or tell people what to do when it comes to guns or smoking or dogs or anything like that. I think the government at the county level is overstepping. And first and foremost, very few areas of this county are going to be affected, and it's even much more difficult to enforce this. The municipalities have their own rules, subdivisions have their own rules, and we cannot come in over the top and enforce this over the existing rules. But my concern when you get back to livability is you're taking a series of different individual issues and trying to find little pockets of people that may like this issue but may be opposed to the other four. But if you can get enough people to like one of those 4 or 5 different things, then maybe you can get a coalition. But at the end of the day, you may have gotten the one thing that you wanted in your favor, but you may have lost out on the other 4 issues. And it's not a good way to do this. You're kind of bundling a lot of things that may sound good, but until when they start affecting you, it's not such a good idea. I am concerned about that, and will continue to oppose this.
Ms. Birdsong?
I'm in favor of that ordinance as well. I know, just go ahead and get on it. Still back to my core statement, government's role is to protect the citizens of the county. I live in what used to be a very rural spot in Dorchester County. There was maybe, 4 houses on our street? Well, there are probably about 1,000 out there now. Some of the original people still go out in their backyard, pull out the shotgun, and shoot the squirrels. The only problem is that my children are in my backyard where the squirrels are. So I'm having to get my children when I hear gunfire, bring them in the house, try to keep them safe. I shouldn't have to do that. Dorchester County is one of the fastest growing counties in the United States, not just in South Carolina. We can't stay with our head in the sand and let things happen around us until somebody gets killed. We can't wait until it's too late. Or, oh goodness, whose son was that got shot in their backyard minding their own business because someone's gun went off, target shooting. How do the police know when they get a call, shots fired? Is it shots fired from a criminal? Is it shots fired from target practice? In a residential area, gunfire should be disallowed.
Okay, the next question goes to you, Ms. Birdsong. How do you propose that the Berlin G. Myers Parkway be completed, since this is a key ingredient to better traffic flow and ease of commute, quality of life, and smart development?
You know, when they first built the Berlin G, I was like, who in the world's going to ride on that thing? There's not going to be any traffic out there. And boy, was I silly. It's bumper to bumper. It's got to be finished. I don't know where the money's going to come from. I was assuming money was already allocated, since it was an original something from way back. But it does need to be completed. There are people, like Mr. Hearn said, that don't want it in their backyard. And unfortunately, those things were already drawn out and the lines made. The road is headed a certain direction. There are people who are counting on that road to build their businesses, to build their neighborhoods that they may want to develop. There are also people who have sold land to get away from it. So people are in the process of preparing themselves for the development of this road and the completion of it. And I think for the growth and the welfare of Dorchester County, we need to finish the road.
Okay. This question goes first to you, Ms. Birdsong. Oh, you didn't answer yet. Never mind, I'm sorry. I'm jumping right ahead.
I was going to say, thank you. No. With regard to the Berlin G. Myers, this project is similar to a lot of other projects we have. We have a need. There's no doubt that we need to finish the project. It will certainly alleviate traffic on 17A. It is something that is still a priority. We're concerned about it. This is where, and I see Mr. Carter may have left, this is where we grab folks like Mr. Carter and say that we need help from our legislative delegation. The county, as much as I support seeing this finished, the best I can do is just get out there and try to get this prioritized and get out and talk to the delegation, talk to folks, and try to get the money brought in. These projects are only as good as the money we have to finish them with, and that is a major frustration with this and several other projects. It is a quality of life issue. And it's certainly an issue as we go into the future. Obviously, one of the things that we need to do on council is plan for the future. That is a big part of those plans. And Ms. Birdsong is correct. The traffic has picked up, which is a good thing because, of course, that's traffic that's not on Main Street and not in other areas of the county. But we rely on the State Infrastructure Bank. We rely on our various committees, appointees, and our legislative delegation to continue to make this a priority. And I will continue to try to help push us in that direction and make sure this happens.
Okay, let me see if I can get this right now. Mr. Hearn, this question is going to you. Should the county have delayed reassessment? Why or why not?
Well, this particular question, the why or why not, I voted to delay it for this reason and this reason only. We saw what happened in Charleston County. We ran into a situation where if you attempt to implement new software and new inputs while you're simultaneously attempting to undergo a reassessment, it can be a formula for disaster. Interestingly enough, we don't have to speak in the hypothetical here. We saw it happen. It is, what happened in Charleston was a nightmare. I think it cost one of the elected official her job, as a matter of fact. But there were a lot of problems that if you're attempting to do your reassessment while you're attempting to implement new software, new controls, new hardware, software, etc., if something goes wrong, everything is messed up. And just out of concern that that could happen, decided not to pursue this yet. Obviously, it's been said that there's some greater conspiracy to try to keep property values up at the 2008 reassessed value. That was certainly not my thinking when I voted against or voted for delaying reassessment. It is really all about getting it done once and getting it done right. The cost associated with messing this up, particularly if you're having hardware software issues, is pretty prohibitive. We don't want to waste money, so that's why I voted against it.
Ms. Birdsong?
You're right, I don't want to waste money, and I certainly don't want to be like Charleston County. I do think we need to have the assessment done. I'm going to tell you why. From a personal standpoint, we have a mobile home. Now, everybody in this room knows that mobile homes do not increase in value. However, this mobile home we purchased for not even $30,000 15 years ago is currently assessed at $19,500. Hello? Do you think I could sell this mobile home for $19,500? Then why do I have to pay taxes on it as if it were that value? And I don't think I'm the only person that affects in Dorchester County. When we look at the individual people in our county, we're not making the salaries we did in 2008. Most people are not employed. They're not getting the raises at their jobs. They're struggling to stay afloat with the rising cost of food and everything else. If we could cut the people of Dorchester County a tiny little bit of slack by assessing their values and letting them reflect an accurate market value, not an overinflated, not as something that came out of willy-nilly land, something real. I don't think people would mind paying taxes if they felt they were paying taxes on an accurate assessment.
Okay, well, I think we're ready for your closing remarks, and I think I'll let Ms. Birdsong go first with the opening, so we'll let Mr. Hearn go first with the closing. How's that?
Okay, and Ellen, Madam Moderator, thank you very much, and again, all the fellow candidates and everyone that's here tonight, thank you for the opportunity to get to speak. And interestingly enough, it was an opportunity to actually reacquaint myself with Ms. Birdsong. We had not seen each other probably for 15 years or so, and, but I just want to wish her luck and have enjoyed being involved in this campaign. And thanks again for the opportunity to lay out a few things that I think you've heard tonight. There are some differences. There's some philosophical differences. I think there's some differences in government that are pretty clear. And from my perspective, I believe in limited government. I believe in keeping taxes down. I believe in keeping regulation and government off the backs of business, off the backs of small business. You know, we cannot really survive in an economic development standpoint when we are the only county in the Tri-County that has extra fees, taxes. We've got impact fees, we've got license fees, we've got transportation impact fees. It's a deadly combination. We are not business friendly here in Dorchester County. We've got to continue to fight to make a better environment. We've got to continue to work on our infrastructure for economic development. We've got to bring in jobs. That is undeniably true. I was looking at this earlier. We have brought in over 800 new jobs in the previous 2 years and almost $500 million in investment. We're doing a pretty good job. We've got to do a better job, though. And I see that time is running out. Again, I thank everyone for allowing me to participate. Appreciate your support. And if you get a chance, if you haven't already voted, vote for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'd like to thank everyone for being here tonight, too. This has been a lot of fun for me. Campaigning is supposed to be hard work, but it actually was a joy. I met a lot of great people. I had a chance to say the things that have been weighing on my heart, and I've been able to share some of the things that are concerning the people I've met in Dorchester County. We knocked on a lot of doors getting this petition signed, a lot of doors, in the hottest July in recorded history. We worked hard. We had children from teenagers to senior citizens because we all believe in one goal. The people need to speak and the people need to be heard. We've got to get bigger business. We've got to get more jobs in Dorchester County. We can't be the bedroom for Charleston County. Dorchester County is beautiful. It's a great place to live. But if we put some effort into getting the jobs here, improving our livability, as my opponent here said, we've got to make livability what you feel it is. If it's having a road wide enough that the ambulance can get to your choking child and it doesn't take 20 minutes, that's livability. Livability is being able to enjoy when you come home from work that you don't have to drive for an hour and a half to get home. You're home within 15, 30 minutes and you can see your children have dinner and have a life. That's livability. And we can have prosperity along with that. I think they go hand in hand. I believe that as the taxpayers of our county, and I'm one of you, I want taxes as low as possible. And there has to be a fine line between what we pay for that are wishes and what we pay for that are needs. We need to take care of the business of Dorchester County. I just completed my MBA not too long ago, so I have a little bit of business background, but I've been on this earth a lot longer than that. And I know what it takes to have a happy life. And it takes a good, livable county, a prosperous county, and a place where people want to live and where their children want to live. Thank you all very much, and I appreciate it.